Hey everyone, this is TJ and you're listening to Beyond the Ring podcast and welcome to the another weekly episode of Reliving the 80s Classics where I cover Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling on weekly basis. So we get into this episode and this episode we are going to discuss is 26 December 1981, and if you have not checked out other episodes reviews, you can check it out on the right hand corner on the I button. So this was as taped on 10th December 1981, and so this show actually started off with Bob Caudle and David Crockett as usual on commentary, and Sergeant Slaughter comes up and joins Bob Caudle to talk about the $1,000 Cobra Clutch challenge, and it's still continuing, but this time he's not just bragging upon that there's no one there to challenge him, and he's just ducking kind of the challenges that all are making. But this time NWA representative Sandy Scott joins them and says he hasn't seen Slaughter to do any of the challenges, but he's just talking about it. And Scott tells Slaughter that he will have to put up the challenge tonight, and he actually draws some of the a sheet of paper with a list of challenges that include Mike Davis, Keith Larson, Jake Roberts, Blackjack Mulligan Jr. and Ricky Steamboat. He was okay with first three but not the last three, and he gets upset. He was kind of afraid to put upon the challenge on the line, and he gets upset as he was told he will have to put the money up today. So this was a fun little segment to open with, which was nice. And Sergeant Slaughter continues to be a very good at that time in this week in the weekly episodes of Mid Atlantic area. So we get into the first match, which was Blackjack Mulligan Jr. and Jake the Snake Roberts teaming up against Charlie Fulton and Mike Miller. So expected a good tag team work and good tag team match here. So this was this was a good tag team match, I would say. Lots of good exchange by Jake the Snake Roberts. His athleticism, his aggressiveness that we have discussed it week after week. And Blackjack Mulligan Jr. was also good, and he also worked on Charlie Fulton and Mike Miller very well. There was a point where Fulton actually shoves Mulligan Jr. into the ropes and lands a forearm, and that was good. And he backdrops Mulligan Jr. and tags in Miller. And in the end, we saw a quick double team by Miller and Fulton in the corner. Fulton body slams Roberts but misses an elbow drop. Roberts tags in Mulligan Jr., who whips Fulton across the ropes and hit with a forearm, and Fulton tags in Miller. Roberts comes in and drops Fulton into his knee for a backbreaker, and Roberts follows with a knee lift and covers Miller for the pin. So quite a slight kind of control by Charlie Fulton and Mike Miller, but when it was all done, it was Blackjack Mulligan Jr. and Jake the Snake Roberts who got the victory. So not a surprising kind of result where they were more over. It was just a opportunity to Fulton and Miller to work against this popular wrestler. Yeah. So again, this was a match, and we get to the second match, which was one of my favorite match, I would say, which because I have a soft corner for technical wrestling and slow wrestling, and that tells the story so well, and to understand that so magical to see. And this was Billy Robinson versus Tony Anthony. They also discussed again about this week how the US United States wrestling style is different from the European style of wrestling, which more of follows Greco-Roman style. So Billy Robinson actually had a full on displayed the technical mastery, and Tony Anthony was also not backing down, and he was also kind of trying to reverse all the things that Billy Robinson had to offer. So very nice neck to neck kind of very back and forth kind of match. And we saw a side Saito suplex by Robinson, a big knee at Anthony's head. So he was also having some strike advantage as well. And Robinson, because he was even though he's a power guy, and if you have a one look on him, you would not see he's just good as technical wrestling. He resembles me of this era's Walter, actually, because Walter is also very technically good. And Robinson with a forearm at Anthony's back as he was whipped into the ropes, and full Nelson by Robinson on Anthony, and that transitions into a takedown, and he picks Anthony and pile drives him him, and he only gets a 2 count on Anthony. And in the end, Robinson with a backbreaker and gets a pin on Anthony. A very really good match, I would say. And this was the match of the week, I would say, in this episode. And we after that saw Austin Idol and Koloff and Roddy Piper promos for Mid Atlantic Championship Wrestling TV, because they were kind of hyping up Mid Atlantic show in Michigan area. So they were going to that area. So back in the day, it was territory days where they go into another area, kind of showing off their talents to another area. So kind of an opportunity for those guys as well, if that area's territory wrestling would be picking them up. So quite a lot of opportunities back then, where you could see one guy in Mid Atlantic, you could see the same guy in Mid South as well. That was the time. And I don't know about much about it, but I'm saying just about what I have read here and there. And Austin Idol talked about how he doesn't have to talk about a good how good looking he is, despite talking about it for a bit. And he's a kind of a playboy kind of character that he's putting. He also mentioned coach Schimberschler. Ivan Koloff is looking forward to invading the Michigan area. Ivan Koloff had a promo, and Piper says it's a pleasure for the Michigan TV to have him, and he says he's Roddy Piper, and you're not. So typical Roddy Piper style, a good hype up, I would say. And Austin Idol, when I saw him, he's still managing tires right now at NWA. So he still cuts same kind of promo. Just his voice is. Man, he's aged right now, but still his whole personality and his whole character that he put is still same, and still it still looks very good as well. So we get into this next match, which was Russian Bear Ivan Koloff against Keith Larson. I have never seen Ivan Koloff having such a challenge. That Keith Larson actually gave, because this was the title match. As you know, this 15 minutes time later. 15-minute time limit was the championship. Then after that, the championship will not be on the line. So only 50 minutes would be championship would be on the line. So NWA Television Championship was on the line. So Keith Larson had a good challenge here for Ivan Koloff. He was working out Ivan Koloff very well, and Koloff actually goes back to head scissors on Larson, who escapes that, and Larson actually monkey flips Koloff out to the corner. Koloff kind of ducking him, kind of having that quickness advantage that was portraying, missing the strikes of Koloff, which is very dangerous, and he puts on hold in very controllable manner. And Koloff, in the end, we saw slams Larson and then backdrops him off the ropes. Some working towards Larson finally, and controls for a few minutes, I would say, and he argues with the fans. Koloff hip tosses Larson across the ring. He whips Larson into the ropes and knocks him down. Big knee to the corner. Koloff climbs up to the top rope and grabs hold of Larson's head and drives his knee. One of the very lethal finisher that I have seen, because yeah. And in a kayfabe manner, I'm saying, into Larson's head as they fall onto the mat, and Koloff gets the victory. A nice match, I would say. This match was also good. Keith Larson had a good challenge. He gave challenge, so this was fast paced as well. Not a typical Ivan Koloff match, which is more of a control and a very short, slow match. And we get to the next segment, which was Sandy Scott returning and says that Gene Anderson had found, including Sandy Scott, is a very entertaining thing. And it felt like, when I watched this show, it felt like they are changing the whole presentation of the show. Kind of a war is going on, kind of thing, trying to catch the eyeballs, because because it was getting into it's crossing into 85 period. So I mean, it's crossing the 80 period. So we could see some kind of bits and hits and bits here and there of that kind of the competitive nature which was there. And Sandy Scott returns and says that Gene Anderson had found a loophole in the Ninja's contract about him wrestling Paul Jones, but Scott found a loophole in Gene's contract, because it was not Ninja is going to face Paul Jones, it's Gene actually going to face Paul Jones. So he just had an error that he cleared it. So then we got Johnny Weaver coming up, joins Bob Caudle to talk about the Ricky Steamboat and Roddy Piper story, and he mentions a battle royal that they will be both participating in, and wouldn't be shocked if they end up against each other, and says battle royals usually bring unexpected matchups. So So this was the another kind of a bit of an announcement. A battle royal is coming up. I don't know if this gonna be played out in the weekly episode. Let's see. And Rafe Stevens is still upset at Ole Anderson for trying to sacrificing man. Says he used to think Gian Anderson was a somewhat intelligent, but he says he's going to let his brother use his head like a coconut, and then he must not be very intelligent, he says. And he wants to kick Ole Anderson's can, and whenever they meet up. So kind of a same kind of a promo which he delivered very very well. And Ray Stevens promo delivery is very believable and very well as well. I've said last week as well when he closed the show. So Ray Stevens. Yeah, and we get to the next match, which was Terry Taylor versus Tony Russo. So Terry Taylor is the rookie of the year at 1980s. So we also see list of accomplishments David Crockett actually talks about of Terry Taylor, and lots of things, lots of Southern Tag Team Championship and all. And he was lots of things, and I don't remember. And Taylor and Russo, this is a nice match, I would say. Nothing bad or something. The matches were not like that. And squash matches was not there, I would say, because it was very competitive in nature. All the matches were competitive, so it was a good episode to watch through. And it was, as I said, they also had had again commentators Sandy Scott and onto the commentary, let everyone know that they just held the drawing for the $1,000 Cobra Club challenge, and it will be Blackjack Mulligan Jr. who will take the challenge against Sergeant Slaughter. So it was kind of, I was expecting that Sergeant Blackjack Mulligan Jr. would be challenging Sergeant Slaughter. So it was that. So kind of awaiting thing that was that when I watched this episode. And as I said, this match was a nice match. In the end, we saw Terry Taylor takes Russo down with an armbar. He drives his knee into Russo's shoulder. Russo reaches the ropes to break the hold. Russo with some heart rights at Taylor's chest, foot onto Taylor's midsection. Taylor fights back and whips him into the ropes and follows with a backdrop. Taylor then whips Russo again into the ropes and catches him with a forearm across the ropes for the victory. So as I'm saying the ending, Tony Russo, Terry Taylor, as I said, I remember now because I have watched this show for a few hours ago, so I'm remembering right now that Tony Russo had a good fight against Terry Taylor. And this was not kind of a match that we have seen Terry Taylor in 2 weeks episode. So they were very competitive in nature, where Tony Russo was also controlling the leg and Terry Taylor was also controlling the leg. After some time, they were kind of a back and forth action, locking him down left leg, and the left arm, Russo's left arm as well was also worked by Taylor. So as I said, nice match, I would say. Yeah, I liked the match. And I like the match as a whole. And we got a more promos for TV show in Michigan area. Ray Stevens talks about the tough competition in Mid Atlantic Championship Wrestling. Johnny Weaver says being in Michigan is like coming home. Boogie Woogie Man Jimmy Valiant joins Weaver as well. Valiant calls Johnny Weaver Johnson, and Weaver tells him there are a lot of women in Ann Arbor, which pleases the Boogie Woogie Man. So promo that was laid upon, the hyper promo for the show that they're coming to Michigan. And we get into the a main kind of a co-main event, you can say. Pretty Boy, Carl Friggy, and Ox Baker, who are the NWA Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Champions for some weeks right now, when Mid-Atlantic Champions are being shown, which is a very very good thing. And I'm very I was very kind of upset for in September November show where they didn't have the champions being shown into that. So I thought about that, maybe that was a time like champions don't show up in every week or something. But this was like in 2 weeks episode that tag team champions are showing up. So they were going up against Don Canudel and Willie Valentino. And Pretty Boy, Carl Fritz, and Ox Baker, we had a ton of momentum here. And Don Canolo, Vinny Valentino worked pretty well, I would say, against Fergie. But Ox Baker, whenever Fergie gets a tag on Ox Baker, it was very hard for Don Canolo and Vinny Valentino, because he's a big guy, and he just tosses you like anything. And at a point we saw Kyle Fergie gets back in and storms on Canudo's head. Canudo is able to tag in Valentino, and Fergie is up his knee on Valentino. Vinny Valentino with a forearm at Fergie's face. Fergie counters with a forearm of his own. So back and forth action, I would say. Not a very back and forth action, but there was fighting spirit that Don Carnodal and Vinny Valentino shown upon on Carl Frazier and Ox Baker. But pretty much you can say that Carl Frazier and Ox Baker is gonna get the victory. So you could say kind of a mild extended squash. Quick tags by Baker and Fergie, front face lock by Fergie, gets reversed by Carnodal. He tags in Valentino, but Fergie knocks him down and tags in Baker. So very opposite kind of performance or the booking that we have seen for Don Kernodal, because he was being booked dominantly for some weeks in the tag team situation. So this was against the tag team champions. So certainly he was the one who wanted to do the job for losing, and he tags in Valentino, but Fergie knocks him down and tags in Baker. Ox Baker gets Valentino with a hard punch. He was going for a second one, but referee stopped him because he was not the legal as a thought, and Fergie comes in and covers Valentino, kind of a hit of sucker punch, and ref didn't see it, kind of a heelish thing that he did, and get the victory, and that for a pin. And Carl Fergie and Ox Baker are the still the, I mean, this championship was not on the line, is the winner actually. And we get into the interesting part, which is the main event segment. Scandi Scott returns for the $1,000 Cobra Clutch challenge. Sergeant Slaughter tells him that he would have liked to have seen how he drew Blackjack Mulligan Jr.'s name. Private Jim Nelson also shows up, and Bob Caudle says that, and Private Jim Nelson is there, but Sandy Scott said, I have said that no one to interfere in this match. Sergeant Slaughter stalls a bit again in putting Mulligan Jr. in Cobra, because I was like that it's 3 minutes to show to end the show. We will just time pass and just he's a heel. He can get it over with anything, and just piss off the fans. But the fans were so excited, so excited, especially the ladies who were screaming and shouting Mulligan's name. And Slaughter hits Mulligan Jr. with an elbow across the neck, and which Bob Caudle didn't like, and I didn't like, which was not illegal. And Sandy Scott have a warning: if you do it again, you would be having a hefty price to pay, man. And Sergeant Slaughter pulls Mulligan Jr. by the hair, and then fans started to scream. As I said, he puts Mulligan Jr. in the Cobra Clutch. Mulligan Jr. drives Slaughter into the corner. He tries to drag him off, but Slaughter keeps the clutch locked in. Mulligan Jr. refuses to give up and again throws him to the turnbuckles. Extended amount of minutes of fighting by Mulligan Jr. Fans were screaming, fans were chanting the names of Mulligan, which was very good to see and really good, fun to watch through. Slaughter lays in a few knees into Mulligan Jr.'s midsection, which was also kind of illegal. Bob Caudle states that, and as he continues to keep him locked in, as the whole as TV time runs out, and we saw the credits rolling out. I usually don't watch credits, but this time credits were rolling out, and Mulligan Jr. is kind of appearing to be broken out, kind of breaking up the Cobra Clutch, pretty 80% or 90%, you can say, because he was not on the lock. He was more of on the wrist lock, you can say. He completely, you can say, he broke out of it, but not he actually didn't have a distance or something. As we can say, like 100%, but still. He was the one who actually kind of broken, you can say, not a decisive thing that they told or something, which actually ended into the credit scene, and it got ended. As I said, this was the ending. I thought about that, maybe if they could have that 10 second, if he could have broken, and then they would have ended. That would have been a great pleasure for me. But okay, man, it was a very good episode. The whole Sergeant Slaughter's Cobra Clutch challenge built upon, and the matches were also very good competitive matches, and there was very kind of a one-sided squash match or something, which we see every episode Mid Atlantic, and in those days as well. So good episode. The Billy Robinson, and the Billy Robinson match was the favorite match for me, and I would say, and the tag match was also good. The Pretty Boy Carl Friggi match was also good. Rest all the matches were nice match, fun to watch through. And Sergeant Slaughter's Cobra Clutch challenge was the main talking point in it. That was a really good closing segment, I would say. And that was the show, man. I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope if you watch this on the WWE Network, please put on your thoughts on this week's episode of Mid Atlantic Championship Wrestling, and I will until then, like my video, share it with your friends who love old wrestling, who like to revisit NWA wrestling, and I will see you, and subscribe to my channel as well. I do this. Other than that, I do the reviews of current pro wrestling as well, current shows as well: Raw, SmackDown, AEW, Impact, NWA. AEW Rampage is coming up, so very much excited. So I will see you guys in the next one, guys. Until then, be safe, stay energetic, and peace.